Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Colin Raymond and I'm the chairman of the board. On behalf of the directors, management and staff, it's my pleasure to welcome you this morning to the 2021 annual general meeting of Asian Aid. A warm welcome and thank you for joining us today. We had hoped to meet in person, but unfortunately that isn't possible. However, we will be establishing history. For the first time ever, we'll be holding our AGM fully online by our live stream. So with you in the comfort of your homes and with us broadcasting from our office in Wauchope and dispersed in multiple locations in Sydney, we can meet in a safe manner for the health and well-being of us all. I've been told that we have a quorum, so therefore I declare the meeting open. I should mention that if you as a member of Asian Aid wish to send us a question, please email us at the email address contact@asianaid.org.au. I'll just repeat that again, contact@asianaid.org.au. Send it to us at any time during this meeting. We'll be monitoring that inbox and we will address these in the Q&A towards the end of our agenda. The theme of this year's AGM is Library of Leaders. While sponsorship is just a chapter in a child's life, your support enables them not just with an opportunity for education, but also creates a pathway for their relationship with God. And we see this impact every day, how our former students become beacons of light in their own communities as teachers, doctors, nurses, pastors, church administrators. And this enduring legacy creates not just an impact now, but in generations to come, a real library of leaders. So before we proceed any further into our meeting, I'd like to invite one of our directors, Nadine Brody, to pray for the Lord's presence to be with us as we meet.
Okay, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come here before you today in the wonder of your amazing love. We invite you to be among us and ask that you continue to bless our global Asian Aid family. I pray for your special support and protection for our staff, our leaders, our frontline workers, and our sponsor children and their sponsors. Please provide our leaders with the guidance, humility, wisdom, and discernment. And please protect our families, workers, and teachers and give them the strength to support our children during this time. I pray that you protect our students and our sponsor children to keep happy, healthy, and safe. And please bless our sponsors and their families that they feel your love and see your truth always. Please continue to look after us all and guide us. Help us to be your hands and feet. In Jesus' name I pray this. Amen.
Hello everyone, I'm Karen Patrick. I'm the Company Secretary for Asian Aid, a role that I've had for 25 years. It's a bit different for us this year, isn't it? Over the last 25 years, I have had the opportunity to meet many of you and to make some very special friends. Last year, due to COVID, we had to change some of the ways we operated, and this was especially true on how the AGM was implemented. In 2020, all voting was done online prior to the meeting and the AGM was live streamed. We were pleased with the processes that were put into place and that they were very effective. In fact, it gave many more people the opportunity to participate in our AGM, which is our showcase program for the year. We were rather proud of our team for working through the logistics and making this all possible. And so this year we have continued again, like last year, all voting was done online. 3 weeks ago, the notice of meeting was sent out to members with the links to the document, the minutes of the 2020 AGM, information on directors and the annual report, and these were in the members portal on the Asian Aid website. Through the portal, 32 of the 107 members registered their votes and have either voted or allocated their proxy to the chairman. And the outcome of these responses have determined whether a resolution has passed or not for this AGM. 6 members have submitted apologies that they would be unable to attend. The first resolution that was addressed was the minutes of the 2020 AsianAid AGM, and as per the online voting, we now have the resolution to accept the minutes of the AGM held Sunday, 13th of September 2020.
Thank you, Karen. There's some comments I'd like to share with you this morning. I'd like to start off with a story. It's a story told of a man who was doing last-minute Christmas shopping in the city. He was a wealthy man, and when he came out of the store to his car, it was actually a brand new fancy car, and he saw there a little street urchin, a little homeless boy, or a poor boy, admiring his car. The man noticed him there and said something to him. "You like the car?" And the boy said with a big starry eyes, "Oh my, do I like the car. That's your car, mister?" "Yes," he says, "it's my car. In fact, my brother gave it to me for Christmas." As the little boy took that in, he had a look of shock and amazement over his face. And he said, "Your brother gave that to you?" And he said, "Boy, I wish," and his voice trailed off. The businessman knew what he was about to say, all right? He was about to say, "I wish I had a brother like that." But the little street boy said, "Boy, I wish I could be a brother like that." And something in that response touched this man's heart, and he said, "Well, would you like to go for a ride?" And the boy said, "Sure." And they went for a ride. They went down the streets of the city. They saw the Christmas lights and the store window decorations. And as they drove around, the little boy said to him, "Would you mind going by my house?" The businessman thought, "Oh yeah, surely this must be so that he can show off to all his neighbors and his friends that he's riding in this brand new car." And he pulled up to the house, and the little boy said, "Well, would you mind just stopping for a while?" He went inside, and after a while, he returned a little bit slower. He was carrying his little brother with polio-stricken legs. And sitting on the front steps of his house, he told his brother, "You see that car there? One day when we grow up, I'm going to get you a car too. Then you can go and see all those Christmas lights, see all those window decorations that I've been telling you about." Now, as I think about that story and about the little boy, I'm reminded of an important lesson that he teaches us. And that lesson is not about how I wish I had a brother like that, but rather how it ought to be, "Oh, I wish I was a brother or sister like that." And that's really our mission at AsianAid. And that's what we want to talk to you about today. How by sponsoring a child, by providing that opportunity for education, it creates a pathway for their relationship with God, a stepping stone to becoming a brother or sister just like that. To start that first chapter in their lives towards becoming a giver, a provider, a leader themselves, to lift them up one at a time. Now, we see this impact every day, and the impact that sponsorship does. And I can testify to this myself firsthand. It was back in late 1996. It was one Sabbath morning as we sat in Sabbath school at our local church. The mission news that was shared that day was by none other than Helen Eager. And it was on AsianAid and the great needs of children looking for sponsors. It was with our baby twins in our arms. We were moved to choose 2 children to sponsor. Laxman was 6 and Rajni was 10 years old. They were both from very poor Hindu families. Their parents were labourers, couldn't afford to have their children sent to school. They were both attending the Kurda Seventh-day Adventist school in the state of Orissa because of the AsianAid sponsorship. 10 years later, as these pictures show, we as a family with our 3 children by now decided to visit our AsianAid sponsored children. And as you can see in these photos, we met them for the very first time at the school, and we spent some hours with them under the supervision of the school principal. And he shared with us afterwards that this was the first time that a sponsored family had come to visit their child. It was a beautiful and humbling experience for us all. We prayed together and we parted with sorrowful but happy hearts, if that makes sense. And we kept in touch over the years via email and WhatsApp. And in January 2012, I was privileged to witness the baptism of our sponsored boy, Laxman, who's in the blue shirt on the left, and that's his dad next to him. And we had known him and prayed for him for over 12 years. He's the only Adventist in his family, and he had chosen to study theology at Spicer College, Puni. And it was a real answer to prayer to be able to be there in person to share that day with him. So skip forward to today. Laxman is the chaplain or theology teacher at the Sampada SDA school in Navi Mumbai. And is a leader in his community, giving back to others in need. He has become a beacon of light in his own community. And he has become, in a way, one book in that library, the Library of Leaders, which tells the story of the impact of Asian Aid on many, many more like him. Now, my story I'll just recall to you spanned 25 years. There's a greater story, a story spanning over 55 years. And that's the story of Asian Aid itself. If there ever was a story of humble and unassuming beginnings, it's the Asian Aid story. And it all began with a woman, Maisie Fook, who responded to children in need. Some of you probably known her personally. And in 1966, with a budget of just $2,000 and no paid staff, Asian Aid was officially established, really stepping out as a pure act of faith. Over the ensuing years, with increased overseas partnerships, a dedicated supporter base and committed staff and board members, the quality and the diversity of the work grew significantly, reaching over 45,000 children, we believe, to date. Well, today, we celebrate Asian Aid's anniversary, 55 years young. We continue Maisie's mission and her legacy. So happy 55th birthday, Asian Aid. And as we celebrate 55 years of giving and growing hope, we do so with humility and gratefulness for God's divine guidance. We'd just like to share a short video with you now from our partners in India, Bangladesh and Nepal. They're sending their gratitude and best wishes to you as our supporters.
Happy birthday, Asian Aid.
Happy birthday to you, Asian Aid.
Happy birthday, Asian Aid. Happy birthday, Asian Aid.
Congratulations on your 55th anniversary, and may God give you many more years of success.
55 years of giving, sharing, guiding and enlightening lives. Asian has been an umbrella of hope to the downtrodden and underprivileged ones.
Thank you, Asian Aid, for your 55 years of service by giving hope to the communities, one person at a time.
GATE has worked collaboratively with Asian Aid organization since 2010.
Thanks to the Asian Aid supporters, we very much appreciate their support, and they are bringing change in the community and the children.
Transforming lives is the most beautiful humanitarian gesture, and Asian Aid is the best of them all.
We are ever grateful for your trust, for your understanding, and for the partnership we have for over 22 long years.
আমি এশিয়ান এইডের সাহায্য নিয়ে এই ক্লার্ক মুখার্জিতে পড়াশোনা করেছি এবং আমি এখন কার্যরত আছি ক্যাপিটির ইনচার্জ এবং শিক্ষকতার কাজ করছি। ছোট ছোট ছেলে মেয়েদেরকে আমি পড়াশোনা শেখাই এবং আপনাদেরকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ দেই।
I'm so glad to work with Asian Aid because they understand very well the children and community need.
We're so happy to work with Asian Aid since last more than 45 years. It's a long years.
Since my childhood, Asian Aid supported me to come up till now. I am a success story. Through their service, through their support, I am here now.
I am one of the visually impaired students from Blind School. Asian Aid had started to take care of me from the age of 12 years. It's a great privilege to be a part of organization which had been with me throughout my life journey. Thank you for making me what I am today.
Children at our homes and partner schools are thriving because of the small act of kindness started by Asian Aid 55 years ago. You have by heart been our constant support, and we could not have accomplished this without you.
spanning continents, impacting generations, cutting through barriers. You have redefined the roadmaps of destiny of thousands of lives. May your roots grow deeper and your branches spread wider.
In partnership with AsianAid, several thousands of lives moved from the cycle of exploitation to the circle of dignity. May your service expand.
Thank you, AsianAid supporters, for helping us take action and empower Chennai community.
Happy birthday, AsianAid.
Happy birthday, AsianAid.
Grow further, AsianAid.
May you touch many more milestones and make a difference in many more lives.
Happy anniversary to AsianAid. Long live AsianAid. Thank you, AsianAid, for giving hope.
Well, wasn't that a wonderful message of celebration and thanks? How appropriate now to introduce you to the team who are doing this mighty work, to enable you to see who they are, and I hope you get a chance, if you haven't already, to actually meet them one day. Well, starting from the your top left-hand corner, we have Paul, who's the captain of the team. We have Tammy and Joanna, who lead our programs effort with Monica and Linda. Sue, who cares for our PR and marketing. Karen, our longest serving employee, as of 33 years this year, I believe. And she was AsianAid's first paid employee. And she serves us, and she continues to serve us as a company secretary. And this is your 25th AGM, I believe. Wow, what an achievement. Thank you, Karen, for your commitment and loyalty to AsianAid. Sharon, or affectionately known as Shari, who's our Human Resources Manager. The whole team is based in our Warhope office, aside from Pudens, who cares for our on-the-ground communications work in India. And then we have Inika next to her, who I'm sure you've talked to as you have phoned us. She cares for you as our supporters. Jacinta is next. He's our communications coordinator. And last but not least, James, our tech guru, who's actually coordinating this very broadcast as we watch today. Now you're able to put faces to those emails and messages that you've received from us. I'd like now to move to the official part of our proceedings, and that's the appointment of our board of directors. Now, as I am one of the directors whose position was considered by resolution, it is only appropriate that I hand over to our deputy chair, David Swain, to lead us in this section of our proceedings.
Thank you, Colin. As provided in AsianAid's constitution, 3 of the 9 directors' positions become vacant by rotation each year. The director is generally appointed for a 3-year term, and this is the case with Colin Raymond and Kay Zijderveld. Both have come to the end of their appointed term. Andrew Swain filled a casual vacancy last year. In February this year, each of the 3 directors, Colin Raymond, Kay Zijderveld and Andrew Swain, expressed a willingness to continue in their role. The board appreciates the skill set and expertise that each of these directors have brought to AsianAid and made it very clear to each of them that their service was greatly valued and greatly appreciated. Accordingly, the AsianAid Board of Directors recommend to the members at the 2021 AGM that Colin Raymond, Kay Zijderveld and Andrew Swain, each being eligible, be reappointed as directors of AsianAid organisation for the 3-year period to the close of the AGM in 2024. The next 3 resolutions will deal individually with each director's appointment. The first resolution, which is resolution 2 for this meeting, is to reappoint Colin Raymond as a director of AsianAid until the 2024 annual general meeting. I ask our company secretary, Karen, to give you the results.
Very grateful for the technology that has enabled us to give you the results of the online ballot. And it is resolved that Colin Raymond be re-elected as a director of the company until the 2024 annual general meeting.
Thank you, Karen. Congratulations, Colin, for the next 3 years on your reappointment. I now hand back to the chairperson, Colin, who will deal with the next 2 resolutions.
Thank you, David, and thank you, members, for your support in my reappointment. I humbly accept your trust to serve Asian Aid for another term. A fellow director, Kay Zeiderfeld, has come to the end of her appointed term, and in accordance with section 11.1b of the Constitution, and being eligible to do so, chose to be renominated as Director of Asian Aid. Therefore, we have resolution number 3 to reappoint Kay Zeiderfeld as Director of Asian Aid until the 2024 Annual General Meeting. Now, I'd like to ask our Company Secretary to give us the results, please.
Once more, as a result of the online ballot, it is resolved that Kay Zeiderfeld be re-elected as the Director of the company until the 2024 Annual General Meeting.
Thank you, Karen. Congratulations, Kay, on your reappointment. I know that you're online, even though I can't see you. I'm sure you're there watching. Welcome back to serve on the board. Another fellow director, Andrew Swain, who filled in a casual vacancy, has chosen to re-stand for re-election as Director of Asian Aid. So therefore, we have the resolution number 4 to reappoint Andrew Swain as Director of Asian Aid until the 2024 Annual General Meeting. And again, I ask our Company Secretary to give us the results, please.
And again, I'm happy to say that as a result of the online ballot, it is resolved that Andrew Swain be re-elected as the Director of the company until 2024 Annual General Meeting. Congratulations to all 3 of the reappointed directors.
Thank you, Karen. Congratulations, Andrew, on your reappointment. Happy to have you serve alongside us. Just a word of congratulations to Kay and Andrew. We've appreciated your contribution to the board since your first appointment. Your expertise and calm, measured advice is well respected. We are pleased that you both have chosen to step forward and to volunteer your time and expertise in helping us at Asian Aid. You each bring individual expertise in your own fields, and we look forward to working with you both to fulfill our mission of empowering children today and give them hope for tomorrow. Well, so far you've met some of our board members, some of our directors. Therefore, it's opportune for me to introduce you to the remaining members of the Asian Aid Board. Now, I'm not sure if this slide was collated with the specific purpose of lining us, the oldies, on the row above and the younger ones on the row below. However, so starting from the top left, we have David, our Deputy Chair, and David Swain, and then we have David Heist, who's serving, and Kay and Anne. And then while we move to the next row, we have Brooke and Andrew and Nadine and Hannah. And we're very privileged to have such a diverse and skilled board, all willing as volunteers to serve and guide this organisation. Now, I believe, Karen, you want to say a few words at this point.
As staff, we really appreciate the expertise and dedication that our board has offered, and because we can't operate without clear, concise direction from our board members. So on behalf of our staff, I would like to offer our appreciation for the support and directives given from the board, for their dedication and willingness to share their expertise, and for the many hours that they give on a volunteer basis. Now, I'd now like to ask one of my colleagues, Sharon, to offer a prayer of dedication for our board members. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to just ask you to bow your head. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, it's with a grateful heart that we give thanks for our board of directors who willingly give of themselves, their time and their God-given talents to further your work through Asian Aid and its partners. We thank you for the continual blessings through the tireless and passionate work that each person brings to the organisation. We pray that you will uplift each one along with their families. Please continue to guide their leadership decisions and reassure them with the confidence that ultimately all is in your hands, and that together we may achieve many things together with our partners, the families and the communities with which we work. In your name we pray these things. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Karen. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon Paul, our CEO, to share with us the past year's journey in terms of the impact of our work, as well as the financial results for the 2021 year. So over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Colin, for your kind introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us here today at our 2021 Annual General Meeting. So we really appreciate your time and your support, and we'd like to share with you today many stories. You'll hear from Tammy and Joanna in the programs team. And to start, I'd just like to share with you our mission and our vision. So our mission is Asian Aid gives hope by fostering and creating permanent positive change in the lives of disadvantaged children and their communities. Our vision: all children and their communities are empowered, protected, and have full access to their rights. I particularly like this picture that's up there at the moment with the children getting their back to school packs, their school support, but also they're there with their teachers, of many who were ex-Asian Aid sponsors. And you heard Colin share the story of our Library of Leaders. And I think that's just captured in this little picture here, where it's not just sponsoring the children at school. They then go on, it's about creating that permanent positive change for their whole life. And here you see teachers back giving their time and having a change in their lives, and also helping their communities that they live in. So as Colin said, we started with back 55 years ago by Maisie Fulk, and Helen Eager then took over that vision, and you've been introduced to the amazing team here today. So we'd like to share with you a little bit more about our story. Yeah, so you can see through our story video there the impact that it's had on so many children across the course of 55 years. And it's something as an organisation we're very proud to be a part of. Asian Aid is also a supporting ministry of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So we provide our supporting ministry services and activities by actively engaging with our partners. So our in-country partners have done a fantastic job this last 2 years with the challenges that they have had. And we'd like to thank them for the efforts and the continued work that they do. And this last 12 months has been extremely challenging from them as well, and you'll hear more about that. But we wanted to thank our partners for the supporting ministry work that they have helped us complete. Communities that we work in, so the schools and the local communities, and we've focused on growing our Adventist schools in those communities so we can continue that supporting ministry, service, the schools that we attend also, and the support that the schools give us. And you can see Jacinta and Inika here at a school conducting the assembly. The local churches who support us and provide us with your commitment to helping us make a change. And the Adventist organisations. So we all need to get various services or products, and where we can, we'll support our Adventist organisation partners, which then also enables them to conduct their supporting ministry services. And you, our Asian Aid members, we thank you for your support and your commitment that's helped us as an organisation make those changes to the disadvantaged children and help their communities. So thank you for your ongoing support. It's much appreciated. The Asian Aid impact. So where have we been working and what have we been doing? So over the last 55 years, we've been working predominantly in India, Nepal and Bangladesh. They've been our focus areas. We have 6 implementing partners in those countries. And again, they've been working extremely hard ensuring that we are delivering what we committed to deliver with our sponsorship programs and our in-country programs. And Tammy and Joanna will talk a bit more about that with you. But yeah, that's been our focus area for the last few years, and where our growth plans are in the future, we'll look to. But this is also a visual impact on that area. So you see there, India, Nepal and Bangladesh. All the pin drops are the schools or sponsorship areas that we work in, the programs that we have, and our partner locations. So you can appreciate seeing that region, and with the lockdowns that our partners have experienced and the travel restrictions that they have had, it's been extremely challenging, but we've been able to manage keeping the eye on all the children through our child welfare checks, and we'll share more about that with you in a little while. But that just gives you a visual of where we are currently working and our regional focus for this period of time. So the financials and auditors report. So every AGM must have the numbers, and I'm here to share with you the numbers for our period between April 2020 and March 2021. So the sponsorship by region. Throughout that period, our total sponsorship was 4,181 sponsors, and this is the region that our sponsorship was taken across. So you can see India is 53% with the majority of that sponsorship, Bangladesh 23%, Nepal 15%, and multiple being 8%. The multiple sponsorships are programs that we can utilise across those regions and help support each country. So our funding distribution. The funding distribution for March 2021 was split with international programs being 65%, our programs cost being 18%, accountability and administration 11%, and fundraising costs 6%. The total spend in that area that we're talking about there is $2.9 million. So that's the split of our funding, and you can see the majority of our funding being 65% and 18%. It's a total of 83% of our spend is directly to our international programs. So this is our numbers that support those graphs. This is a summary of our financial information. If you're after or would like a copy of our full financials, they are available. They'll be available on the members portal, or you could contact us and we can get you a copy. Or these reports are also available in our annual report. So the numbers. The revenue for the period, total revenue, was $3,498,181. And that was broken down by our donation and support from you, our supporters, of $3,101,030. Bequests and other income, $350,811, and investment income, $46,340. So versus prior year, we had $5,210,401. So our revenue has reduced from prior year, but when you look at the bequest and other income in 2020, that was $2,151,840. So in 2020, we had a very significant bequest provided, and that is predominantly the difference in those years. If you look at the donation, though, we're able to grow that donation by $100,000. So again, we thank you, our supporters, for that trust that you place in us as an organisation in these challenging times. To have a growth in our supporter donation is very much appreciated. So our total expenditure here is $2,899,987, which gave us a surplus of $598,194. So our breakdown on our spend, which we just showed in the graph prior, is our funds to international programs, $1,892,069 in program support costs, being $519,586. So again, that's the 83% of the breakdown of the $2.9 million. It's a number that we do focus on significantly to ensure that we are passing on as much as our supporters' funding as possible to our international programs, so we can make a difference in the communities that we work. Our fundraising costs, $172,888, and our accountability and administration, $313,492. So again, you can see the difference in our surplus being a reduction on prior year, and that is driven purely because of the bequest that was a one-off. So the balance sheet, so these numbers are getting a bit smaller as we get into it. Again, this is a summary. If you're after the full financials, please refer to them on the website. But our balance sheet for this year in 2021 is our total assets, $4,830,127 versus prior year of $4,210,720. And the breakdown of that is our current assets being $4,452,543. And that is in cash. So we've got cash at bank, $987,000, and our other financial assets there of $3,437,178. And that's in term deposits and being also supported by the bequest funding that we've received. So the non-current assets this year are $377,584, and that is predominantly made up of the property, so the office and administration, and the intangible assets and right of use assets of the office equipment. So the liabilities this year, a total of $176,728, and that's broken down by our total current liabilities of $155,738, and the majority there is in payables from the year end, and also in our provisions, which is staff provisions and some other year-end costs associated there. The non-current liabilities are $20,990, giving us a net asset position of $4,653,399. So that is up on prior year of $4,055,206. So it brings us to the equity changes there, and also the changes in that position. what that change was. So we start with the prior year retained earnings, that 4,055,205, include this year's current surplus at $598,194, resulting in our total equity of the $4,653,399. So that's predominantly the financials. All the notes and everything are available. So we're happy to report that number and the increase in our surplus position for this year. So North Corp, this is our auditor's independent declaration. North Corp are our external financial auditors. They have completed their audit on the 20th of May 21, and this is a summary page of their audit, and you can find their full audit report with the financials, but it just highlights that there was no contravention of the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profit Commission Act. And so we thank North Corp for their support and their times coming in to audit our financials, and there was no variations on that audit. In addition to North Corp, AsianAid is a member of ACFID, and ACFID is the Australian Commission for International Development. And as part of a member, it's a voluntary membership, and this membership is made up of around 130 similar organisations to us, and they have a code of conduct that we assess ourselves to. And not only is it like North Corp is focusing on our financials, ACFID help us to continue to improve our processes, help us benchmark against similar industries to ensure that we are also striving for continuous improvement practices in our organisation to ensure that we can do the best with our funds and make sure the children are also safe and follow the policies that are set here in our country through our legislation. So that brings us to the end of our financials. So thank you for your time. Much appreciated, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, for a great result, for a great report. And as per our online voting, we have the resolution to accept the financial statement and the auditor's report of the company for 2020 to 2021. Thank you to all involved. I'd now like to introduce our programs team, Tammy Moses and Joanna Ryan, who are our co-program managers. They'll be taking us through our programs report and our COVID response. Thank you, Tammy and Joanna.
Morning, everyone. Joanna and I would like to focus on several important highlights made possible through AsianAid funded programs this past year. But first, we'd like to present recorded interviews from several of our key partner staff responsible for managing their teams in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. These interviews were conducted by our Field Communications Coordinator, Pudens, who is based in Chennai and who you will see present in the video also. So please enjoy.
What were the challenges you faced, because of COVID and especially in terms of the programs during lockdown?
Suddenly, we were into lockdown and we were at home. So creating a communication online between the team and the beneficiaries was really difficult initially. And in case of Childrex, few might not have a smartphone. And the internet facility was really challenging when we thought about having online sessions.
Another bigger challenge that entirely BCSS had, we started transferring money to the children home, and we were really struggling to find every child a mobile, and that mobile must have the money transferring banking access that and it was really hard to get all those numbers. We somehow could able to manage and send money, approximately 95% or 98%, we could able to send money. Another challenge that might be ridiculous to you, but wearing mask for 12 hours, 10 hours is really an irritating job.
It's difficult to stay away from the disease. Even in the remote villages, we have seen, like we have heard, not seen, like whole villages have fever, and there's no testing available nearby, so they had to go to the district hospitals. But that they had to walk, and how the corona positive person can walk up to there, like 5 hours, 1 day.
How did you see courage or resilience during this 1.5 years, which was a tough time?
With the schools opening, the children started coming back to schools. You should see their faces. They were so happy to come back to their schools, but yet there was a little fear in them, and they were happy to meet their friends again. Yes, with social distancing.
This situation was new to everyone, like even the team as well as the beneficiaries. So accepting is one thing, that we have to face this and we have to overcome this. So I think the team was, brave enough to, when I proposed this, that we have to be doing relief in the field. And it was almost like 350 beneficiaries that we were meeting in a day or two. They were very brave to come on the field, like all of them, though they had their families, they had their struggles. I didn't see any, they were very proactive.
This 1.5 years, what has been the biggest lesson for you?
Yeah, lessons is huge. And the first lesson that I would like to share, and this is frankly speaking, this lockdown has taught us how to be united in the great challenge. In the lockdown time, we had one goal: to support our beneficiaries.
Being with family is great. So don't worry about anything. Like don't worry about your financial condition. But if you have a house and if you have 2 meals available, then you should be happy. No other matter is big enough. Now you are safe. That's big enough. That's good. That's good enough. That's what I have learned, Also for our community people, counseling is, emotional support is quite important. And we have been providing counseling to pregnant women and children through phone.
The biggest lesson we learned is we can be more simple. We can lead a more simple life. Life is more precious. And we need to be more positive to try and help anybody who is in need during the time. It's not just the people that we know, it's helping the humanity at large.
Even during this tough time, we had supporters of AsianAid who were very consistent and generous with supporting us and our partners. So what is your message to them?
I just want to share some small experiences here to all our supporters. When one of our team members called a particular student, the family was literally struggling. They were struggling for their basic needs. With this important call our team member had made, we were able to recognize their struggles they're undergoing and the ground reality of the problem. So, and of course, we as a team could reach out and give a small support for such families. And I want to say that this was possible because of our supporters.
I would like to say a big thank you to all the supporters, especially AsianAid, because throughout the pandemic, they understood the practical situation, whenever we went back to them that we wanted to do relief, they were very supportive. Though they're from different country. I think they understood the ground reality, and that was a great encouragement for the team to work on all the constraints and reach the beneficiary.
I just want to say one word is thank you. Thank you, AsianAid, and all the donors from AsianAid and all over the country. Because every single donation to this program is worthwhile. BCS is always ready to work beyond the box and beyond the limitation to provide support, to bring the smiles of the beneficiaries. And that's why we are very thankful to AsianAid and all the donors. And you keep supporting this program, and we will continue our best.
I'm sure we can all agree it's a blessing to hear from our partners directly, to hear from them on their experiences, how their teams have developed resilience, and to see their lessons learned through the pandemic to date. Today, we're starting with India. AsianAid funding was utilised to support over 1,900 sponsored children and their families through faith-based education and child-focused community programs this past year. As an international charity, or as part of the international aid community, we love a great acronym and we tend to use them quite often. So on the slide here, you'll see we refer to DCS and CFD. DCS is Direct Child Sponsorship, and it refers to sponsorship of children through Adventist schools. CFD refers to our projects through the community that focused on sponsoring children in Adventist schools and community schools with benefits to the family and the community also. Through the network of Adventist schools and community projects we supported this past year, our partner teams were able to respond to just over 1,900 families through the provision of food relief and hygiene packages, and where necessary, cash relief payments. This is particularly the case for sponsored children supported through the Adventist school network, where the spread of school locations is countrywide. The number of families listed includes sponsored children and their families, project beneficiaries, and identified high-risk families living within the Adventist school communities and through the projects. While COVID relief packages were being provided, once local restrictions were eased, our partner teams ensured activities that were safe to conduct continued on. Two highlights that we would like to share are pictured on the slide just here. The image in the centre is of sponsored child Hari and his friends attending the after-school program through our child-focused project in Bangalore. The children here are engaging in tuition classes to support their at-home learning, in craft and poster design competitions, and in active games to support their mental health while living through the conditions of the pandemic. The image to the right of the screen is one of our graduate women's savings groups, which was brought together through our child-focused project in Chennai. The ladies pictured here have completed their financial literacy training and are now moving to developing their own businesses and are engaging more women and mothers seeking employment and financial security to do the same. In Nepal, AsianAid funding was utilised to support over 600 sponsored children and their families through faith-based education and child-focused community programs. Similar to the numbers referenced in India, the number of families listed who received food and hygiene relief packages includes sponsored children and their families, project beneficiaries from our Women's Health and Child Rights program, and particular to Nepal, identified high-risk mothers, both pregnant and postnatal, who required essential nutrition for themselves and for their infant children. The two highlights we'd like to share today, as pictured on the slide here, are from two of our Adventist schools based in central Nepal. Once restrictions eased across Nepal, a return to learning was only possible with COVID-safe plans in place, with staff and students using face masks, hand sanitizer, and completing temperature checks daily. As pictured on the far right, classes were conducted with reduced student numbers and staggered class times and sessions. As pictured in the centre, where technology was accessible, online Zoom classes were conducted for students in secondary grades with the support of their teachers.
In Bangladesh, we've had the privilege of sponsoring almost 900 children in 39 different schools. Our CFSD projects have continued to improve educational opportunities for children and their families and bring positive change to the surrounding communities. Throughout the year, we've used times of lockdown to improve the school's facilities, with several building projects taking place. One example is the Kellogg Mokajee Memorial Seminary, which you can see pictured here, where repairs were made to the boarding facilities, including improvements to the toilets and the installation of new bunk beds, study benches, and energy-saving lights and fans. The children were very excited to return to their schools once they reopened and see the significant improvements that had been made. Our partner in Bangladesh has done an amazing job of implementing and achieving project outcomes, despite the many challenges they've faced this year. WED, which is our Water, Health and Economic Development project, has continued to be a source of change for the children and families at Monasapara Adventist School and the surrounding community. During the lockdowns, food security was a massive issue for many people. Thanks to WED, people in this community had access to a reliable water source. This meant they could grow crops all year round and not have to wait for the seasonal rains. Trainings held on farming techniques and practices meant people learnt how to diversify their crops and could therefore earn additional income by selling their produce at market. Pictured here is the very first crop of potatoes. As you can see by the joy on this girl's face, these potatoes, small as they may be, are more than just food. They provide security and hope. Going forward, we're excited that 3 new Adventist Village School projects have commenced in Bangladesh. These projects will provide quality, faith-based education to children and adults with project activities including teacher training, sport and drama programs, and adult literacy classes. Livelihood training on growing vegetables, raising goats, ducks and chickens, and tailoring will enable participants to increase their household incomes and bring positive changes to the communities surrounding our Adventist schools. Despite the challenges we face in ensuring learning outcomes for sponsored children, we believe that through this year, we have continued to build a library of leaders, and this will remain our focus throughout 2021. As you are all aware, COVID continues to have a significant impact on our lives and on our world. In the communities where we work across India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, the impact of COVID has been profound. Certain groups of people, particularly those who are already vulnerable, face additional challenges. We'd like to share with you a short video called Girls Crisis, which highlights some of the challenges that people, particularly girls, face, but also the way that with your support, our partners have been able to respond to this crisis and bring practical help to many people. Our response to COVID has and continues to make a substantial difference in the lives of vulnerable children, their families and communities. Throughout the year, our partners have delivered food packages and hygiene supplies directly to participants, with support from local police and government officers. By using their experiences and learnings, partners have been able to streamline the process of purchasing and distributing relief packages. Having an established location, often the local school, has made subsequent food distributions much easier. Where possible, additional members of the community were included in food distributions based on ensuring equitable outcomes for the most people possible. Our two largest partners have also utilised emergency cash payments due to the geographical spread of the sponsored children and their families. Michael from Bangladesh, which you heard from earlier in the interviews with some of our partner staff, spoke about some of the challenges of doing this, such as ensuring that they had the correct mobile phone number and that the mobile phone number could receive the cash payment. Once the process of transferring the funds had been trialled and proved successful, our partners were able to transfer multiple funds over an extended period of time. The vast majority of children who were eligible for financial support were able to receive assistance through this method, which was an amazing outcome. Providing relief packages or emergency cash transfers is only part of the job. Verifying that the right people are receiving this assistance is also an important component of the work. Over the phone, partner staff would complete a welfare check with a child or family member prior to transferring the funds to ensure it was going to the correct person. The partner would also track the transfer using a UTR, which is a unique transaction reference number. The recipient is required to match the UTR to verify that the funds were received. For relief just delivered in person, recipients need to verify their identity and sign their name. You can see pictured here an example of a report of the relief distribution. We also require partners to provide lists of beneficiaries and purchase supplies, photos, videos, and activity reports. Despite our best efforts, there have been some children who have not returned to school or may not once schools are reopened. Some of our families have decided to send their children to a school closer to home rather than to a boarding facility further away. Our new CFSD projects will engage with children and their families from within some of these communities. We continue to work closely with our partners to ensure that, wherever possible, each child has the opportunity to continue their education and become a future leader. Our partner staff have shown resilience, determination, creativity, and flexibility as they have responded to COVID. Some of our partner staff have had COVID, and all have experienced the devastating impact of COVID on their communities. It has also been immensely challenging for our partner staff to move from managing sponsorship and development programs to providing emergency relief. We are deeply thankful that they have persevered and found ways to provide relief, as well as continuing to implement project activities when safe to do so, under ever-changing circumstances. The number of daily COVID cases in India remains high, though it's much lower than it was earlier in this year when it peaked. The number of daily COVID cases in Nepal is currently remaining stable. In Bangladesh, the number of daily cases is increasing and is predicted that it will continue to do so. Thankfully, at this stage, we have no reported fatalities amongst our project staff or sponsored children. In some of our project locations, children have been able to physically return to school. In other areas, the communities are still in lockdown and schools remain closed. We ask for your patience as the impact of COVID continues and the emergency relief work is ongoing. We are committed to helping our children, their families and communities to face these difficulties, however long it takes. As with many children around the world, school has looked very different for our sponsored children for much of this year. As we spoke about earlier in the country updates, many of our children have been doing online learning or using learning packs at home. Some of our children have been unable to return home and have remained in the boarding houses. We have made efforts to engage with our sponsored children, particularly those who are unable to return home. Here is one example of a creative way we got some of our sponsored children involved in a really fun activity. Enjoy.
I need you and you need me. Left alone, we will never be who we could be. So take my hand and don't forget that we can do anything together. Just one drop of your love, a single ray of sun, just one thing to change the world. It's just you and me, starting with a dream and giving it all we've got. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Come with me now. Look and see how there's an ocean overflowing with our hope. So let's jump in and take a swim. It's you and me, yeah, forever. Just one drop of your love, a single ray of sun, just one thing to change the world. It's just you and me, starting with a dream and giving it all we've got. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. I need you and you need me. We can do anything together. Just one drop of your love, a single ray of sun, just one thing to change the world. It's just you and me, starting with a dream and giving it all we've got. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop. Only takes one drop.
Well, thank you, Paul and Tammy and Joanna for your presentations. It certainly has reassured us how the work has progressed, and we thank you, Paul, for the faithful stewardship of the funds and reporting to us how that's going, and to hear of the partners and how they're able to still reach out to the beneficiaries in spite of the challenge and difficulties with COVID, the cash transfers, the care packages, the emergency relief. It's quite great work that's been done. And thank you, Paul, Tammy and Joanna, once again for your presentations. Although you were up front presenting, we know that this was a culmination of the whole team's effort. So thank you all for your contribution and your dedication to this work of providing hope to those children and their communities in building up the Library of Leaders. We'd like now to just move on to our next section of the program, which is questions and answers, a Q&A. It's now time for us to answer your questions which have come in, or those also which have been sent prior to this meeting. So I'll now hand over to Karen, who will read the questions and that have been submitted.
Thank you to those that have sent in some questions, and we have been able to group some of them together to create one general question which might reach each of those that you've asked. The first question that I have is, you announced that you had received a significant bequest last year. What are your plans to spend that? And I would like to direct that question to you, Colin, as our board chairman. Thank you.
Okay, yes, that's right, Karen. One of our supporters donated a significant and generous bequest to Asian Aid last year, along with some others who also donated via their wills and testaments. We as a board have been working closely with the team to develop both a strategy and a criteria to ensure whenever we utilise bequest funds, it not only works towards a self-sustaining outcome, but also leaves an enduring legacy. So the criteria is to ensure that we're aligned with our mission and values, as well as our strategic objectives for the growth of Asian Aid. And as an example, the Adventist International Mission School in Bangladesh is this type of investment as it's now a self-funded school and doesn't require any more ongoing additional support.
The next question I'd like to have someone in our team address. Does Asian Aid have any plans to expand from the current countries that you work in? And when would that happen? Paul, perhaps I can address this question to you.
Sure, thank you, Karen. Yeah, growth plans are an important part of every business's organisation and strategy. And our growth plans over the next few years will be looking at what regions we can expand to, and also what partners and capacity we can engage with. However, the last 2 years, we've been focusing on really the partners and the programs that we have had to ensure that we continue to focus on the children, ensure their safety, and the programs that we have are delivering the results that we set out to achieve. And you can appreciate after hearing the reports, the challenges that have occurred over the last 18 months, 12 to 18 months. And we wanted to make sure that those results were delivered. So the growth in the future will be around regions, whether that be further Asian regions or Pacific regions. We'll look to share that with you in the near future, but it's certainly on our strategy in the next 12 months, 18 months. Thanks.
Okay, the next question that has come in, what risks have you mitigated since lockdown for vulnerable children? Perhaps we can send this to the programs team. Tammy, would you like to answer that one?
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. It's a very important question. And I think earlier in the presentation, our CEO, Paul, spoke about keeping our eyes on the child. So the main way that we've looked to mitigate risk is to focus on the greatest needs at the time. And as we've spoken about several times in our presentation, we've looked at welfare checks, ensuring food security, and ensuring access to learning so that children don't feel and their families ensure that education is still part of their essential needs, and to make sure that we don't lose them through the gaps as this pandemic continues on. Another area that we've looked at in detail is updating our child safe and child protection policies and procedures. And we're currently undertaking training with all of our partners to improve their systems and to adapt their systems to keep children in their programs safe through the pandemic.
Thanks, Tammy. Okay, this is quite a generic sort of question. Where is the greatest need? Looks like you're up. Thank you, Joanna.
Yeah, thank you for this question. Such an important one. So our current COVID relief fund provides the flexibility that we need to address the greatest need with our partners. And this has included some different things, for example, providing personal protective equipment to the Shear Memorial Hospital. It's also involved providing things like face masks and hand sanitizer and temperature tools to schools to ensure it's the safest environment as possible as children do return to their school environment. And more recently, we've also provided 4 oxygen concentrators to 4 of our teaching Adventist hospitals, where some of our tertiary students are also studying. As COVID continues, we're going to continue providing food and financial support to our partners through the Family Fund as this is needed. We're also going to continue our welfare checks and our learning packs just to mitigate those risks and support our sponsored children as much as possible as they go through this transition from back to school to being back at school, which is something we're really looking forward to. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the team in the background that have been monitoring our email address for your questions and comments that have been coming in during the meeting. I have one more email to refer to. It's not actually a question, but it is a comment, and I'd like to read it out. I love the annual report, its presentation and news, and I am encouraged by it. A wonderful work has been done, especially the strategy put in place during the first COVID shutdown. Tragic we are in another shutdown, but God has told us these signs are leading to his second coming. I appreciate the confidence and support that that member has expressed in that email. So that's all the questions that I have, and I appreciate those that have taken the time to submit their questions to us.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing those questions. And if you do have questions, please, we encourage you to still reach out to us, and we'll be happy to communicate with you. So prior to closing our annual general meeting, I'd like to just say a thank you to you as our members for your continued support, your donations, your prayers, and without you, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do. I'd like to also thank the AsianAid management and staff for the tremendous work that you do and for your commitment to the cause. Board members, both young and old, thank you for the spirit of service each one of you brings. And above all, I'd like to thank our God for his watch care and his blessings upon AsianAid as we've reached our 55th anniversary, and as we strive to create a legacy that will endure for many more generations, empowering children and their families to flourish in both their faith and future prospects, giving hope today. So before we close, I'd just like to ask Andrew, one of our directors, to share with us a closing prayer.
Could you all please bow your heads with me as we close the AGM in prayer? Dear God, thank you for this wonderful AGM where we've learnt and heard so much about good work that AsianAid has been able to achieve over the last 12 months in an incredibly difficult period in the world's history, where we've seen so much suffering and pain across many parts of the world, but in particular in India, Bangladesh and Nepal. I pray that you will continue to give us the opportunity to serve and to witness for you through AsianAid and our partners on the ground. And we will continue to be able to serve the communities that we're working with and bring hope to their lives. Thank you for blessing AsianAid with the means that you have over the last 12 months and giving us the opportunity to fund many, many wonderful projects on the ground that make such a difference in people's lives. I pray that you'll be with each and every one represented, whether that be a member, a board member, management, staff, partners, and our children. I pray that you will bless us all, continue to bless AsianAid in its work, in continuing to build a library of leaders. I pray that those young children will grow up and build on the education that we've been able to provide for them and the opportunities that open up to them that they will continue to be ambassadors for Asian Aid in their communities for many, many years to come, and that this organisation will continue to grow from strength to strength. I pray that you will watch over each and every one of us in the coming 12 months, that you will continue to provide for our needs, and that we will continue to be faithful in each and every way. We look forward to your second coming, and we hope that this occurs soon. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. Well, we've reached the end of our agenda, and I will now adjourn our meeting. Thank you for sharing this time with us at Asian Aid, and safe travel home for those of you who are not in lockdown. And for those who are in lockdown, courage and strength to endure. May the Lord continue to bless Asian Aid as we continue to build up his library of leaders until he comes to take us all home. Thank you and goodbye.